Hi everyone, I'm Sherry and welcome back to my channel, Sherry Jones Designs. In today's video, I'm going to try something really I have never tried before. I'm going to share this exciting journey with you. We are going to try fabric painting. Now, when I say I've never tried it before, I've never tried it on denim jean pockets and incorporated into a project or anything. I have one time I painted a very sad little bird or two on a canvas bag I made, and it was for carrying wood. I'll get it, I'll show it to you. Hold on. I think the bag that I did this on is maybe 5 years old, 3, 4, 5 years old. I know it's pretty old. I washed it a few times. I use it for firewood. It's a very bad, sad shape, but here's what I painted. I put a little cardinal on this side and like a little finch on this side, and it is for carrying firewood, which is, you can see it's quite dirty. I have washed it 2 to 3 times, and this paint that you see, believe it or not, is just apple barrel paint. And look how well that held up. I mean, I think it held up extremely well. You can see some, but this is actually white paint for highlighting that is not showing through. I mean, and it's still very, I wouldn't be afraid at all to use apple barrel. The only thing I would absolutely do is let it set for like 2 full weeks to fully cure. I didn't heat set this. I didn't do anything fancy other than paint it, let it set for a couple of weeks, and then start hauling firewood in it. Like, I've been rough with this thing. I lay it on logs. It was my pre-test, but I've never gotten around to doing pockets. And what I envisioned was pockets that have like painted aspects, and then other aspects like buttons and patches, you know, so it has sort of a 3D effect. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to goof around with, I've got a fabric paint, and then I've got the apple barrel. So I thought we'd goof around a little bit, and I'm going to start on this one. I didn't even do like the primer layer. I just literally started painting with, and I think one thing helps, the canvas has the open grain too. I think if I painted on something that was like smoother or had like was stretchy, you know, like a lot of your spandex type jeans are stretchy. If you like the looks of the weight of this fabric I got here, this is drop cloth that I just got from Amazon for painting. It's canvas drop cloth. When you wash canvas drop cloth, it actually gets real supple and soft. Like, not like soft, like furry soft or flannel soft, but I mean, it's not hard and crunchy like when you first get it. It does wrinkle really bad. It will wrinkle quite bad. So, you know, if you wanted to make pillowcases or something like that, you will have to iron it afterwards. But I've made curtains out of this stuff for heavy dividers. I one time did an entire couch cover system with zippers out of this, and it washes super well. I love their painting canvas, and it's been a while since I bought some, but I could get a whole big chunk of it for like 20 bucks. So it was fun to work with. So let's get to our pockets. I think on them, I'm going to try some like testing, some with primer, some without primer, and then and we'll see how easy it is to paint, and we'll just see what we think of it. So here's some of the pockets. I'm going to choose pockets that they're just plain like this. I've already pre-washed these several times. If they you know, if I haven't used them for a while, I want to keep things fresh. So I've got a whole selection here. I figured we'd just pull from them. Some of them are just pieces of denim that I could use on something, because I'm going to practice here. And one thing I recommend is to use, when you're doing any kind of artwork, always try to use a reference photo. You will do so much better than just in your mind's eye. Okay, so for my experiment, I'm going to be using the paints that I have, that I have bought. And so the first one, this is a textile paint, an actual textile paint set. Okay. And then I'm going to be using just plain apple barrel. And then for the third test, I'm going to be using Liquitex Basic Acrylic, not their, well, what's the other one they called? Not the thick one, but this is just the basic acrylic. I figure it's gotta be better than apple barrel, and it is thicker. I have used it and compared them in just artwork. But I've had this for a little while. I haven't used it. Now I'm gonna do 3 just plain, and then I'm gonna do 3 on gesso. It's kind of like a primer. And see if there's any difference, see if I notice any difference. And then later on from this, because they'll have to cure for 2 weeks, I'll wash them and we'll compare and see which ones held the best. Now I will say this, I think it will also compare, like I noticed, like some of them, this one looks a little grubby, so I may not use it. Like some of them may depend on the quality of the denim I'm putting it on as well. So it may not be a true test, but I feel like I'm going to get a pretty good idea of what the paint can do if I just use, you know, the ones that are mostly denim, not spandex mix. I want to show you that I'm going to be using, this is a reference, and you can get them cheap. Like I go to Abe Books, but Amazon, I guess, bought it out, so you can go to Amazon to used books. And just get yourself, or a garage sale, thrift store, get yourself something that's got little pictures of whatever it is you want to try to draw or paint, because it'll help you with proportions. It'll help you visually to see, oh, that's longer, oh, that needs to be shorter. And you'd be surprised how good you can draw if you have references. And then I'm going to, I don't think I can, but I'm going to try to sketch. I don't know if I can draw very well on denim with a pencil, but I'm going to try to give myself some lines. And then on my setup down here, let's see if I can move you. And then my setup down here, I've got my water, I've got some brushes of different sizes and styles, and all my paint. And I'm gonna also put on something to try to keep the paint off of me, because I might get really into my project. Because I ruin all my clothes, I have made upcycled clothing that I can paint in or I can work in. This is just a shirt that I cut the sleeves off a little bit short so I didn't get them in the paint, and then I put a couple of pockets on it and so it can button up. It's not fancy, it's just an old upcycled shirt. And I have several of these that I can put on when I paint so that I don't get it all over my clothes. So if you have an apron, I also have those aprons I made. But I figured I'd be sitting down, so I'll just use this shirt. But I do recommend that, because before you know it, if you get into your project, you will be wearing it if you're painting. All right, so these I'm just going to gesso first, because, and I'm guessing it's going to be easier to draw on top of the gesso. So I might get away with that. Where here I don't, no, I can sketch on it, so I will be able to do that. So let's just I'm going to take a wider brush, something just get my brush wet, and then I usually just kind of wipe the water off. I actually have a sponge for that, but I don't have it with me. And then I'm just not going to be too picky. I'm just going to put some on each one of these. I forgot, I need to go get my palette. I do have, this is a palette, but I don't really care for it. It's got like little sections in it. I don't know, maybe that would work for watercoloring. But anyways, I need to go get my palette. I didn't do that yet. But let's just put some on there. I'm not going to be picky about this. We're going to just brush it on. So that way it can be drying while I do other things. And most people I've seen on Etsy, like I have questions. Does this soak through? Do I need something back there? You know, most people on Etsy that I've seen do this, they just do a shape and then they come in with their other stuff. So I'm going to do that. One, I'm just going to do kind of a random, let it kind of feather out to an interesting, like, edge to it, kind of faded, like that. And then I'll just let that dry. Okay, we'll do that for one. See if I can find a spot to set that one. And on this one, I'll probably cut the pocket out. So I'm going to do the whole pocket and see what that would look like. You know, it might be really ugly. I don't know. But this is how you find, by just doing random things, experiments, and trying different things, this is how you create new designs, you know, new ideas, and you learn to put new things in your shop this way. You have to get, you know, you have to take those chances. And I'm a little bit nervous about, you know, doing these in front of everybody. Sure I am. Am I the most talented person? No. You know, but I figured, you know, it encourages all of us to get outside of our comfort zone, try something new. And so I hope that me doing silly things like this just encourages you to try something new. And I get that in my comment section. People saying, I've never done this before. I'm in my 70s and this is addictive, and that's amazing. You know, it makes it all worthwhile when somebody else is blessed. I'll make sure everything is in the camera here. And when you see even one or two people even getting blessed, it's worth it. So, and anyways, but in our world right now, things are quite expensive, and to be able to do something that's, you know, very, very budget friendly, very frugal, giving new life to old garments, and it makes your dollars stretch a little bit further, yet you have something unique and special. And okay, that is a whole pocket done. You know, if I were to cut the edges out. I set this one over. They shouldn't take too long to dry. I can use a hair dryer on them, or something of that nature if I want to. And this one I'm just going to do a random shape again. And the thing is that with painting is all about being creative and adventurous, in my opinion. Is trying new things. You know, I've seen so many things, from paint pouring to splatter techniques to, like, you don't have to paint a bird or anything. You can just paint shapes. You know, you can just paint colors and smear them around or pour them around. Looks like that's got a hair off of it, perhaps off my cheap brush, who knows. And I'm not using high dollar brushes here, guys. I think this came in a craft set. Okay, we'll just do that one that way. All right, those three can dry. And I'll just squeeze most of the paint onto something else, and then we'll clean that. And I probably won't use that for anything else, so we'll just clean it good. And I need another, usually I use rags for this, but today I'm using paper towel, aren't I? It's not quite as earth friendly. If you want brushes, I have learned this about painting. If you want your brushes to hold their shape, do your final, when you wash them, use soap and water. You can still rinse them as good as you want. Somehow the soap and water, enough of it stays in there, it'll make it crispy to its shape. I think we'll be all right here. All right, now let's try. The first one I'm going to try without, I'll just grab a random pocket here. I do want to get something for a palette, so let me go grab a little piece of wax paper or something here. I want to show you what I use for a palette that works the best for me. Now, I haven't painted in a while, so all this is a little, I'm going to need a little refresher myself here, but I fold a couple layers of paper towel, a good quality paper towel. I get it wet, squeeze out all the water I can. And this is just, I think they call it a baking quarter sheet with a lid. I got this at Amazon. And what I do is, it works perfect for a stay wet palette, but it's much cheaper. I think I paid like 11 or 12. It's probably a little more now with inflation, but I do that. and then I take a piece of this Reynolds parchment paper and I put that over it to put my paint on it. And then I can actually leave acrylic paint, this is for acrylics, I can leave my acrylic paints in here for up to a week. You know, sometimes I may have to spritz them with a little bit of water or whatever, but I can continue a project or mini projects, not waste my paint on this palette here for up to a week. Now that's if I'm doing a pretty good sized painting. If I'm doing something smaller, what I like is really funny. You guys will all have these. They work great. It's just one of these. And the reason I like this here, if I'm standing at my easel, this is so light. Like I can hold this and paint and paint and paint, and my hand never gets tired. And what I do, instead of having like this, I can't hold this. This is heavy. I have to have this on a table beside me. So if you want to stand and paint, you've got an easel, you're outdoors or you're whatever, these are so nice. And what I do is I get a paper towel wet, and I'll put that wet paper towel in here, and I just take a little square on top, and then when I'm done painting, this little lid goes on, and it'll keep the same amount of time. And it's so light. So you don't have to have a lot of money to come up with little, an easel and workable. These are some of my favorite things. Like I can paint and paint. You don't feel bad. I get these, you know, you don't feel like, it doesn't matter if you waste a little bit, like $1 or something on Amazon, and surprisingly, works surprisingly well. I'm really surprised about the amount of little artworks and things I can do with them. These actually on sale aren't too bad. You can get the bigger tubes. I was getting them for between $5 to $6 a tube. If you're doing smaller paintings, this will last you a very, very long time. But if you're doing giant size, I was trying to follow a channel where they do very big paintings. Then something like this, you can play around and goof on a huge painting, and it's not going to cost you, you know, $20 in paint just to do the painting. So, okay, I'm not using this one today. I'm just going to set this one aside. And, of course, make sure you have your tea. That's very important. Or your beverage. And we're just going to enjoy painting some silly things today. I want to try, I really, really want to try out these 3 paints. So let's get started. I'm going to cut this. I can't rip. You see when I go to rip it or whatever, I make a mess. Just make a mess out of it. I like that it has all the little lines for me. And this is what works out really good on this too. When I cut the piece for this, it leaves the perfect size for the squares for the other one. So like nothing goes to waste here except, and when you're done, instead of washing all the paint down your drain, the nice thing is you can just pick this all up and just wipe your pan out. You're not contaminating water sources as much either. So I feel good about that as well. I think I'll cut that up here somewhere. We'll save that. And you can even lightly spritz this, but you don't want your paint to get too thin. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with the apple barrel and give myself, just pick out what I'm going to paint, give myself a few colors. I prefer base colors and then just mixing some interesting ones along the way. And as this is not really an art session, you know, you can get color wheels that show you what to mix. I have several. You can just experiment. It's really fun just to play around. Okay, let's see what I want to do. We're going to find, let's do a colorful bird. Where's my pocket that I did? Oh, here's my pocket. Now I notice this pocket is darker. So I'm thinking I probably want to do something lighter on it. You can see it better. And this one I might use the whole thing. So let's just pick something kind of bright. I'm definitely going to need my glasses. painting style I like best, and you'll find your own painting styles as you go along. Glasses, I'm gonna need my glasses. But the painting style I like is called painterly, and it's not realistic. It's very, you see your brush strokes, and it's more childlike too. I could do a flamingo. That thin neck may get the better of me. One thing about when you're painting directly, it's not smooth. You know, so your paint wants to leave edges, you know, so I don't want to do something too delicate. Let's just do like, let's see here. I'm looking for something bright. Maybe a bluebird, robin. I saw robins fly over. Woodpeckers are fun. I saw a robin fly, a whole bunch of them fly over. They were headed south. They know what they're doing. Bee eaters. I have a book, I don't have it in here, of European birds, and there are birds I did not know existed, like green. Well, here, is this the book? Yeah, Britain and Europe. Look, green woodpeckers. I didn't know there was green woodpeckers. Okay, how many of you guys know that there's green woodpeckers? I did not know this. If somebody had painted that, I would giggle and say, why is your woodpecker green? That's so funny. We want a simple shape. Let me see what I can come up with. That's a cute little bird. Let's do that one. What is it? It is... Well, the wind is really blowing out there. We've got cold weather coming in. A white-winged lark. You hear that? I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it's blowing pretty good. Okay, look at the black lark. Look at the black lark. I would, if that was here, I think that was some kind of crow. I kind of like the natural colors in this one. It's not bright though, and most of my stuff is bright. But let's just try him. If I can't draw on it, I'm just going to paint it. Nope, I can't draw. So let's just go for it. I'm going to do the underlayer as white, and then we'll come back over it. So I'll shake it with paint. This, I'm going to do apple barrel on this side. Crunchies falling off my lid. Don't need a lot, and I think I'm probably, because I'm doing a round shape, I am going to use a round brush. This may be a little big. Actually, that is a little big. Let's go down just a little here. And you don't want a lot of water on your brush because it will water your paint down, but you want your brush wet so the paint won't stick, so you can wash it out easier. That's even if you're painting your house. Okay, so let's just say its head's here. Let's do a cute little sort of egg head here. I'm going to do the base in white because, as you can see, it's got all white undertones. So we'll just do a white bird first, and we'll come back with the color. One thing about acrylic, it dries very fast. It's not like oil and then on this fabric, it soaks it in as well. And what I've discovered is with acrylics is you can get stuff to make the paint last longer, but the problem with that is that it just adds more expense to your paint. But you have to blend fairly quickly on your layers, and I almost end up blending more here and bringing it over for your colors. Let's see, the back is pretty straight. It is using a splash. That's okay. We'll just do something with that. We'll add a leaf there or something. But the thing with this paint is that our painting here is going to take a lot more paint than if you were on a paper, because it's soaking it in pretty fast. I'm even going to do the beak out and put some color on top of it. It's been a while since I painted, so I don't expect these will be too fancy. I'm one of those people, I'm very practical, so if I don't have an application for something, even though I love the idea of it, I love the idea of being a painter and being an artist and being creative, but if I can't apply it, I don't do it. If I have something that I can sell, make to give away, make to help somebody, I'm all over it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm into that. The throat comes down a little bit more on that bird. Let's see here. Yep, a little bit more. I think the angle's different than I'm painting it. But it doesn't have to be the exact same bird. And that's the thing, too, about when I paint stuff. It doesn't even have to be a real bird. It could just be kind of like a bird. Some of my cutest things I painted are not even realistic. They're just blob, like a round blob with a... His back is pretty straight. But, you know, it's fun to just give an impression of something, too. Like, we might do some that way, just that are just like circles with little legs down. Just funny, cute little birds. That's not realistic. The first thing I'm noticing about this paint is that, which is actually an advantage, it's a little bit thinner, apple barrel is, so I'm noticing that it really sinks in. And I'm thinking that's going to give me a really good grab on the fabric because it is sinking in. You know, when you use... Goodness sakes, what did it blow around? When you use primer, you know, on your house, if you've ever painted a room, have you noticed how your primer is quite a bit thinner and than your actual paint? And that's so and then it's flat so that it gives a hold so your paint can grab on top of it. Now, I don't know if I want to bother with the legs in this area, but I think I might do the little takeoffs of it. Okay. It would be there somewhere. Okay, so this is apple barrel, and I don't want to forget which one's which. I'm going to set it as my first one. I'm going to let that layer dry a little bit. It's almost like a gesso, it really is. And let's wipe what I got on here off and we'll clean it. And I'll just leave it in the water for a minute and we will get another pocket. And maybe I'll try the same thing, a white with the same one, since we're doing the paint. Now the next one I'm going to try is, I think I'll try Liquitex next because it's not really, and then the fabric paint at the end. Okay, now is this, I have a transparent mixing white. That's not the one I want. Titanium white. Okay, this is a titanium white. And I'll do it in the next row. I don't know if you can see that. I'll show it to you. But you see the difference in the paint. This one literally will just stand up with this one just puddles. Like lots of very, very thin. When I use apple barrel, it reminds me a lot of gouache, really, when you use it. Gouache is, you know, water soluble. It's sort of between watercolor and I don't know what, and acrylic. That's what it feels like. Okay, so now I'm going to try this one. We're going to do the same kind of bird. I'll just start with a little round head here. Oh, it's definitely easier to put on. Be interesting to see if the grab is better. Oh yeah, I can put it on way easier. I'm able to just do what I want here. Much easier. So it'll be interesting to see how the fabric paint compares putting it on with these. We'll just do some birds. I don't have to make them all identical, but we'll just do a bird shape here. It doesn't go as far because it's thicker. I know, so I'm not dribbling it either because, you know, it is thicker. I just wonder if it'll stay on because it seems to be like up above the, you know, the fabric, like it's, you know, because it's thicker. Interesting. Definitely more pleasant to use Like if I had to do a lot of pockets, this would be easier to do. I'm getting crispier edges too and better coverage. Of course, that's to be expected because it is thicker. I think I'll just do this little bird a little bit different. Let's put his beak down more. I'm just making this one up kind of. But yeah. I wonder, doing a small, like a small bird might be difficult. And it does take more paint. I'm going back quite a bit more. Okay, we'll just stop with that. Now I'll show you that I can immediately notice looking at the other one, the coverage difference. Here's the Liquitex cover. You really can't see much of the denim in the first coat of it. And here's the apple barrel. See how you can really see through, but that may actually be a benefit because it may grab into the fabric more. And I did make a mess there, but that'll have to be a branch, right, or something. Okay, so now let's try, we'll set them in order. Let's try the actual textile paint. I have never tried this textile paint. Let's do another dark color pocket to give it the full, and there is a difference there too because this is lighter denim. But I can tell it's thicker. So, goodness, time for another sip of tea, I tell you. Okay, so let's open it. I may have to get something to stir it with. It's not glass bottles. They are plastic. They are cute little bottles, though. Okay. Now we're going to, I'm just going to, I guess I really didn't need this if I'm going to use this. They're sealed. Another bonus, I guess. If I can rip that up or not. Goodness sakes. A noisy truck. Okay, we'll just do it that way. It's very thick. Now, the thing about textile paint is supposed to have like an aspect to it that allows it to stretch. Well, the first thing I noticed about it, it has a very different smell. So it smells sort of like I don't know, it's definitely worse. Maybe a glue. It has like a glue smell to it. So maybe that's the stretchiness. It has some sort of properties. It's more glue-like. I think I'm just going to take this directly from the container rather than put it here. But I would like to see how it looks standing up compared to it. Once you, I mean, I really kind of want to see the, maybe we'll try to pour it. Very thick. Okay. I'll show you what that looks like. It's definitely got, it compares in structure to the Liquitex, but it definitely has a glue smell to it. It smells, and I'm guessing that is, that is what causes it to have stretchiness. So, okay, this is going to be like painting with glue. Well, Let's see. Huh. I'd say it's very similar to painting with Liquitex, it feels. I got good coverage. I can get a good edge right here. I can draw me a good edge. Apple barrel is really hard because it's so thin, but after you get a coat or two of it on, then it's, you know, it's not so bad. I don't know. I like it. It is more expensive, but if it went further, you know, it'd be okay, but I guess it depends how much a person did of it. You know, and on your budget and all that, I mean, there'd be a lot of factors there, but I can move pretty fast using it. I do like that. And if I remember right, it absolutely is water soluble and all that. For natural or synthetic fibers, washable, dry, cleanable, non-fading, light fast. Semi-transparent and soft to the touch. That's what they advertise. So you can see through it more, but that could just be, like I said, the one might be just because it's not as bad because of the lighter colored denim. I should have done the dark denim with Liquitex, huh? I'm going to make this bird ate a little bit better. And the final results will be a video probably a couple weeks from now because I need to get one out this week and I didn't think about that. So, to wash it and everything, see how it did in the wash. If I remember, if I forget, so you guys have to remind me. Ask me how it went. Okay, I think that's pretty good now. It is soaking in. It is soaking in really nice. I can see where it is soaking in and into the fibers a little bit better, I think, than the Liquitex one did. All right, we'll just use what's on my brush here, and we will go into the next round. We're going to go back to Apple Barrel now, and let's do the most color I have next is a brown. So let's kind of do a brown. I'm going to put some colors on my, I see a sort of an orange in there. So let's do some brown. Let's do sort of a red on there and some yellow. I better shake it up. Okay, now I'm going to attempt, I say. I'm going to put some brown over here, grab some white. I need a little bit of a light brown. And I'm going to just start putting a little bit of details where I see some colors. See how this is to layer. Thought for a minute I had the wrong one. So far over this white, and it's still slightly tacky. Like, because it's still kind of mixing in. I'm putting red over that. I'm just going to add some colors where I see the brown. I have to let them dry a little bit more. It's going to take longer to dry because you are on fabric. My bird's almost too dark for the pocket, to be honest with you. Just going to add little bits of brown, little bits of color where I see it. And we're just going to have some fun. This isn't going to be too fancy. My Yeah, we're gonna add some color next. I'm gonna let that dry. I got some brown in there. I'll just move on to the next one. And what did I think about that layering? It felt good. It felt good. It's still a little bit wet. I might want to let it dry a little bit more. I'm gonna let these dry just a little bit more, and because it's mixing my colors in. Put the lid on my palette, and we'll continue in just a minute. So after the white has dried, this is the apple barrel, and it took a little while for it to dry in this room, but I'm going in over the top now and just playing around with colors. And the thing is that this isn't really a lesson about painting. Like, it's more about just paint types. I don't consider myself qualified to do art lessons. I'm not that good, so I just like to goof around with it. And so to have actual art lessons, I do suggest there are some really good art channels out there. Just to go to one of them, and anyways, and you'll learn a lot more that way. I'm following from a book like we showed earlier, and so I'm just here doing testing the paints. So I do notice that it's like hard to get with all of them, because I think it's hard to get like a thin line, like for the feet here. Like it's kind of hard, and it's just the nature of it. I think when I do the ones where I paint on the gesso, these here, I think when I paint on them, it'll be better, because it won't sink in so deeply and mess with me that way. So I'm going to keep painting, and I will let you know, like, per paint type, kind of what I do think. And if I think something like this is going to be usable in my upcycling, because I'm still not really certain whether it's even going to be usable for me. And so, yeah, I'll just keep painting. This is fun. It's like painting with a purpose when I paint this way. It looks like it has a little bit of red in it. I'm not going to do, like I said, I don't like real detailed painting anyway, so, which is good, because I couldn't do it if I wanted to. Couldn't do it if I wanted to, I don't think. I'm just looking at my picture and getting kind of color where the color is. It doesn't have to be exact. And for eyes, I just like to take like the black, take the end of your brush and just put your eye in with that. And it's very easy to put an eye in. So there's one almost done. I'm gonna work a little bit more on the feet, and I might come over with another layer after that one dries. And it's drying pretty fast now that I've got the base of it dry, because now it's not all sunk way down into the fabric. So that's nice. That's nice. And it looks like the black, I'm gonna go back here with a little bit of black of the beak, goes a little ways in on the beak. This is a birdie type I have never seen before, and there actually is black in it. So let me draw a little bit of black kind of in. But I like painting. I can't honestly say I'm that great at it, but I do like to do it. I like anything artistic, really, I guess. Well, not anything. I mean, there's some things I wouldn't want to do, like, I don't think I'd want to do tattoos or tattooing people. I don't think I'd enjoy art that is painful in the process of it. There's a little bit of black on top of the wing. Where else do I see black? Actually, there's black in the feathers, so maybe I'll just go ahead and define that. Just a little bit. You know, it's interesting when we look at something, we don't really see all the details, yet we see it. You know what I'm saying? And I like art that kind of makes you have to imagine some parts of the art itself. So just feel like if I wanted realism, you know, I would simply, all I would do is take a picture, right? I mean, we all have our phones. We could just take a picture. I think that's the thing. Put some shadowing in here. Okay, I might come over with a few highlights, but that is pretty much it. It is actually trickier than on paper. I will say that. I think I'll just put a patch over that. Okay, now that was Apple Barrel. And it painted kind of like you would expect if you do art, kind of like you'd expect gouache, because it is a very thin, I mean, gouache is actually thicker, but if you use it where you water it down first, like you use it from a solid and you put water on it, it's kind of what it feels like. Now we're going to do Liquitex. This is our Liquitex one. And let's see how it dried. This one, which is the actual fabric, is very rubbery feeling, which I would expect because it smelled like glue. This one's not quite so much. There's definitely a feel difference between the two. I'm just going to have fun with this one. This is going to be a different color bird. I think I'm going to try this one. I have not opened these yet, so I'm going to get some paints out here and we'll try it out. Okay, so I got them out of order. I started to do the checkered one, or the textile one next. So, and I got a little bit of blue on the middle one, but it's okay. So we're doing the last one here, the textile paint. And I got the strangest feeling painting this. When you paint it over itself, it smells, paints like, and looks like, you won't believe this. Remember when we were kids in school and we used finger paint? It smells and applies like finger paint. How strange. It's like a flashback. It's like I was trying to place the smell yesterday. I was trying to place the smell because this is actually the next day here. I had to let these dry overnight. My room's a little chilly. But look, it's even streaky and it behaves like finger paint. How absolutely strange. I wonder if it has similar ingredient types. Man, I'm just making a mess here. Just like finger paint. And even got my fingers in it. Trying to open it. But it's streaky on top of itself. Maybe because it's so rubbery it seals itself, is not meant to be second layered. Which will be interesting if the second layer here will wash off. I will give everybody an update. It'll be a couple weeks because I am making this really soon. And I'll try to remember to give everybody an update. I'm going to do this one as a bluebird. Okay, I gotta let that dry a little bit so I can come over it. Wow, so weird. Such a weird consistency. Definitely can tell it's a different kind of paint, you know, than acrylic. Very strange. Now, the one I was supposed to be doing next was this one, and I got a little bit of blue on it before I realized, oh, I grabbed the wrong paint. This is supposed to be, let's see if I can cover over that. This is supposed to be the Liquitex one. So let me see. I'll put just a dab here. I'll make this one a red bird. Let's see what it's like painted over itself here. See, it's way different. It's not, I'll show you here. It's definitely more like regular art, like regular acrylic painting. Well, it is acrylic, right? It's going to feel that way. Has a very nice feel to it. If this washes well, I might prefer my Liquitex actually. It grabs nice. I like it. Apple barrel will be a lot cheaper. I can see through that, but that's okay. We'll come over. I'll have some black on the wings, so that's okay. My lighting isn't the best, guys, in here. I'm having trouble fighting the sun from the window. And I've got stationary lamps, but they just not seem to be doing their job. Let me see if I can make it just a little bit brighter. I keep leaning into my paint. I've got 3 lamps on here. It doesn't seem to be enough. Okay. Oh well, this is more about just my reaction to the paint, I guess, but I will try to show it to you up close. I don't normally do painting videos. I'm just going to make the whole thing sort of red, and then we'll come back with some colors. I could make it a cardinal. I can make it, it'll be a tanager. We'll do a tanager or something. I think they have black beaks too. Okay, we're gonna let that dry so we can do the black marks on the tanager. So you can see it's kind of streaky. So I hope you can see that. And then this one, this is the Liquitex, and it's better coverage. So if it washes well, and then this is how far along I already am with the apple barrel. I do actually kind of like the apple barrel, and it's already dry. I can go over it again. So now, while the Liquitex and the fabric paint dry, we'll let those dry. We can experiment with, these are all gesso first. And I want to see how the paint responds. I might just do flowers or something. Let's start with apple barrel with some flowers. We'll just use, do some simple petals. And yellow is tricky to get coverage with, so, but on the white I'm doing pretty good, like it's pretty good. Not bad. We'll try yellow in each one and I'll see how streaky, how much coverage, what I think of it. How about that? Okay, that's not bad. That's apple barrel. Now I got to put over here so I know which one is which. It's a yellow flower with apple barrel. Now let's do this one with, well, that's apple barrel. Hold on. Okay. Liquitex yellow. And this is just the basics acrylic. It does not want to close right. I'll have to check that out. Okay, same thing, yellow flower. I do feel like I have more control over my paint because it's not so thin. And I'm not able just to pull a flower though, like I did on the other one. Maybe if I load up better. I can't make a petal as easy because it's so thick. I'm pretty small here. I'm having to try it instead of just pull it. Yeah, it's harder to make the flower. Isn't that interesting? Yep, the flower is much harder to make with this paint. It's harder to get your smaller details. I'd probably have to go to a smaller brush because it's fat on the end. It's so thick. I'm not able to get my petals like I was on the other one, which has really kind of messed my flower up. Oops. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. I have a feeling because this one's pretty thick. You can't even shake it. Well, I can, but It's pretty thick, and I have a feeling I'm going to have a similar result. Oops, blue. I don't need green. It does look like finger paint, and it smells like finger paint. That is crazy. It is thinner to pick up. I can't explain it. It's a very weird consistency. Okay, it paints more like apple barrel. I am able to pull a petal. Like, I'm able to go, you know, thicker into thin. Yep, I'm able to get more detail with it. So it's thinner, it's easier to paint with. So the most difficult one to paint with is the Liquitex because it's so thick. And the results are, this is the apple barrel. I'm not sure which one is more see-through on the first coat because I actually think that's just a see-through, and this is lighter, which should have covered better. And they're all kind of see-through because it is yellow. I don't know. This is tough. This is tough. I do know, you know, this is a lot more expensive. I guess it would depend on how it washed. Okay, so I've just been fiddling, and I just mostly wanted to check which one was my favorite to use, which one was the easiest to use, had the best coloration, seemed to be, you know, more user-friendly and stuff like that. So, okay, so I'm going to tell you what I think. Here's what I think from my experiment. This is my the apple barrel bird, and my thought on the apple barrel paint: budget friendly, absolutely budget friendly. It's thinner. I found it actually easier to work with because on fabric it soaks your paint up. But I really liked the acrylic one, the Liquitex. But the problem with the Liquitex one that I discovered is that the Liquitex is so thick. Like, so on the fabric, hold on here, I know I didn't get my lids all shut all the way. So what I noticed, they were really, really hard to shut. Okay, so what I noticed is because the paint is so thick, it's hard to get you a straight line. And I really noticed this when I started doing this, trying to do small flowers. I'll show you that in a minute. It felt impossible to do because you couldn't draw an edge. I tried different brushes, and it felt very awkward. It's not like paper at all, like your paper or anything, to get a good edge. This bird, I think, turned out probably one of my favorite, but it is a little bit dark on dark, so it's not very it's not very noticeable. But this is the textile paint, and what I gotta say about it is it's so weird to work with. It's like finger paint, but yet it was okay. Like, it made a cute little bird. Let me see the nut. I mean, it blended well. I come back for a layer on top of a layer. It seemed to do well. All of them worked. All of them worked. It's just, I don't know, it's not that great, but you can see the detail in this. I was able to get, it felt more like I was painting on paper. I think just because it's so thin. This was this one. And it was so hard to get details, to get tiny details in there. I think it's just not like painting on paper. I think if I did a lot of fabric painting, I would get fabric pens to do my edges, outlines, drawings, and then maybe fill in. Some of you who do textile painting probably would be much better at this. But if I had to buy any of these over again to paint, my favorite is this. It's the cheapest too. It's just my favorite. And you can see the difference here. I mean, they all paint good, but the Liquitex is like glossier, you know, it's glossier, it's got more vibrant colors, I think, but you can get the tiny details. Look how tiny I can get the details when I'm using Apple Barrel. Like Apple Barrel, Liquitex, and so my experience is just I wouldn't go for the expensive textile paint. I don't think you even need like Liquitex. I can't believe my favorite is Apple Barrel. I hope that answers some of your questions and I didn't just make you more confused. And thank you for taking this fun little journey with me. And don't forget to smash the like button and comment and like, share, and subscribe, of course. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, I guess I gotta say happy painting because we're not sewing. So happy painting.